You've heard that some countries are just ruder. Paris waiters, New York cabbies. No offense, France, the reputation is real. But in 2016, a professor at the University of Florida proved that rudeness isn't a personality. It isn't culture, it's a virus. One rude interaction infects your brain for hours, and you spread it to everyone you meet next. This is how a whole city gets mean. His name is Trevor Foulk. In 2016, he was a management researcher at the University of Florida, and he wanted to answer a question nobody had properly tested. If a stranger is rude to you at 9 a.m., are you ruder at 3 p.m.? To find out, he set up a simple study. He recruited 90 students. He had them arrive for a lab session. And right at the door, half of them saw a fake rude professor scolding a fake student for being late. The other half saw nothing. That was it. That was the entire manipulation. 20 seconds. Then Foulk sent them all home. 7 hours later, he emailed them a completely neutral message from a stranger and asked them to rate how hostile it felt and to write a reply. The rude-primed students rated the neutral email as significantly more hostile. Their replies were measurably ruder 7 hours later, from one 20-second exposure. That's when Foulk knew he wasn't studying manners. He was studying an infection. Here's why it lasts. Your brain has something called a hostility schema. It's a mental filing cabinet for the pattern, people are threats. When a rude interaction happens, that cabinet flies open. And here's the strange part. It stays open because your brain doesn't know when the next threat is coming, so it keeps the file loaded. Ambiguous words start reading as hostile. Neutral faces start looking annoyed. A slow elevator becomes a personal insult. It's not paranoia, it's an evolved response. Your ancestors who kept the threat schema loaded after one bad encounter survived. The relaxed ones got eaten. But in the modern world, that same wiring means one rude Uber driver ruins your entire afternoon at work. You didn't choose it. Foulk called this automatic vigilance. It fires without conscious thought. In one follow-up study, participants who watched a rude video for just 90 seconds showed elevated hostility for over 8 hours. 8 hours from 90 seconds. That's not manners. That's neurology. Now scale that up. Christine Porath, a professor at Georgetown, has been tracking rudeness in workplaces for 20 years. Her surveys of 800 managers across 17 industries found something brutal. People who witness rudeness at work, they don't even have to be the target, perform 20% worse on tasks. Their creativity drops 30%. Their willingness to help a coworker drops 50%. They're not consciously punishing anyone. They just caught the virus. But the wildest study on this happened in a hospital. In 2015, a team at Tel Aviv University ran a simulation with 24 neonatal intensive care teams. Each team had to diagnose a fake sick baby. Before starting, half the teams were mildly insulted by a fake foreign expert on a video call, just a passing comment about their training. The other half got a neutral talk. The results were published in Pediatrics. The insulted teams, the ones treating a fake baby, performed measurably worse on diagnosis, procedure execution, and communication. Not slightly worse, dangerously worse. If it had been a real baby, the researchers estimated the babies would have died from one rude comment, made hours earlier, to adult doctors. This is when the world started paying attention. Because it means rudeness in an ER isn't a personality issue. It's a patient safety issue, but it's not just performance, it's your body. Being on the receiving end of workplace incivility raises cortisol for hours. Prolonged cortisol wears down your immune system, disrupts your sleep, and increases your risk of cardiovascular disease. A 2012 Swedish study of 3 Zerozen workers found that those exposed to daily workplace rudeness had a 60% higher risk of a serious cardiac event within 4 years. 60%. Rudeness is literally shortening lives. And here's where it loops back to Paris. Because if you live in a dense city, a city with millions of small, unavoidable interactions, the base rate of catching rudeness is higher. Your subway is rude, your cafe is rude, your neighbor is rude. You catch a dose every day before noon, and you pass it on all afternoon. This is why big cities feel meaner. It's not the people, it's the density of the infection. So why does it feel like everyone got ruder in the last 5 years? Because the base rate went up. The pandemic locked us inside for months. Social skills atrophied. Then we came back out, and the first thing we did was scream at flight attendants. The FAA logged more unruly passenger reports in 2021 than in the previous 30 years combined. But there's a deeper driver. In 2023, U.S. Surgeon General Vivek Murthy released a national advisory declaring loneliness an epidemic. And here's the ugly link. Decades of research from Roy Baumeister and Jean Twenge show that social exclusion doesn't just make people sad, it makes them aggressive. Lonely people are meaner, and meaner people make other people lonelier, which makes them meaner, which makes, you get it, layer social media on top. Every day, you watch strangers being viciously cruel to other strangers for entertainment. Foulk's rude video experiment already proved that watching is enough to catch the virus. We're now voluntarily dosing ourselves. Every single scroll. This is why you're tired. But contagion runs both ways. In 2018, Joseph Chancellor at UC ran a workplace kindness study at Coca-Cola. He had one group perform 5 small acts of kindness per week for a coworker. Just 5 small things. A compliment, a coffee, a note. What he found was called kindness contagion. The receivers of those 5 acts began performing kind acts of their own for other coworkers at a measurable rate. Over 4 weeks, one kind person infected an entire office. The same neural machinery, the same mirror neurons, the same hostility schema, but running in reverse. Which means every rude interaction you don't pass on is a chain broken. Every kind one you start is a chain seeded. That's not a Hallmark card. That's Foulk's own math. He calls it the choice moment. The 2 seconds between catching rudeness and passing it on. Your grandmother would call it manners. Your therapist would call it emotional regulation. Foulk calls it what it is, the only known vaccine. The person who was rude to you today wasn't born rude. They caught it from a driver, who caught it from a customer, who caught it from a boss, who caught it from someone. It's a chain that goes back further than anyone can trace. And right now, you're holding a link. You can pass it on, or you can put it down. The whole world got meaner because we stopped noticing we had a choice.